Sometimes it is deemed necessary to separate a child from his or her biological parents to protect the child's health.
We have a collaborative effort between different organizations, civil society organizations, government agencies, and healthcare providers, and even psychosocial experts, whereby if we have cases like this, we can refer amongst ourselves. Sometimes you find that a survivor within the domestic arena is under serious threat and does not feel safe to go back to that environment. We might have need for shelter. And when there's need for shelter, even though she came to the police and the police might not be able to provide such shelter, the police is working with the kind of collaboration that's existing now. They are able to contact other agencies that can provide the shelter, while the police can be looking at the violence aspect, whether a crime has been committed and so on. But as a general rule, when somebody, a survivor or a partner or anybody is under such threat, we ensure that the person does not return to the source of threat.
Yeah, there are shelter homes for children, but then we still implore the government to still do more about it, because the more the demand increases, the more we'll need more facilities to that. So, but currently there are places these children can be put and they can be taken care of, pending the time the issues are being resolved. Yes, we have shelter homes for that. Okay. So in such a case, the man, since he's legally married to her, he has to provide where she's going to stay. He could rent an apartment or provide the means. So they'll sign an undertaking, they'll sign an agreement. And he has to provide, either he leaves the house for her or he has to provide where she's going to stay.
Care at a shelter is not meant to be permanent. Handlers try as much as possible to maintain the family unit.
When we have cases in families where a child is being abused, they try to make restitution. For instance, the father or the mother or the abuser, if we see that it's something that the abuser can maybe go through some form of therapy and that could be corrected, there could be a temporary separation while he's referred for maybe anger therapy or maybe some kind of psychosocial counseling. And if that is able to resolve the matter, then at a point his case is reviewed and the child is allowed to go back, because we realize that no matter how good the environment is that you provide for the child, it is better for a child growing up to be with his parents.
Unfortunately, the prevailing culture in most places, as well as actions and beliefs of religious bodies, seem to fuel domestic violence.
That's what happens every time, even for the woman, even for the man. For them, they have done their part. Okay, people live together as husband and wife. They look at it from the trivial perspective. They don't look deep into these issues. They're not sensitive enough to know the intent, the gravity of the anger, of the animosity, of what either party is feeling. You just look at it from the surface. Husband and wife should not fight. We have settled, you go. It's beyond that. They're not looking at it from the psychological perspective of the two parties involved. Because what would push a woman or even a man to get to the level of violence that you injure somebody to that extent? We are usually not always very sensitive to people's plights.
There are some success stories which rekindle hope that things can sometimes be resolved amicably.
We have a client, although this is not a child, sometime last year, also domestic violence with the wife, beating, smoking, a lot of things, and because of that the wife wanted him separated. And this man came for counseling, subjected himself for anger management, a lot of things. Now they are back together. It's even the wife that is giving us feedback that he has really changed. During that period, he had a time for self-reflection. His wife, his children were no longer with him. He became sober. We taught him a lot of coping skills. He would go today, come back. How effective were you able to try to pull around in your surroundings? What was the feedback? You know, and today, I still chat her up. She chats with me that everything is fine now.
Response to domestic violence is increasing in Nigeria, but those who treat the cases are asking for deeper thought and more involvement from perpetrators and the abused.
Women will keep talking about these issues, but I also think this is me challenging the men to say, stop complaining. Yes, men do get abused. Men go through, all over the news we've heard about women killing their husbands, and I think it's not an excuse. I think it's sad. I think it shows weakness, you know, even for women. You know, I don't like to be, this is not something about us, because it's a woman I'll keep quiet about it. No, I think it's sad, and I think it shows the weakness. If you are in such a place where you feel that you can cold-heartedly plan to kill another human being, walk away. One of the things that whilst interviewing couples from time to time, you find out that the men's arguments usually are, she speaks too much, she talks too much, she doesn't bridle her tongue. Because you see, what happens in your marriage also happens in your workplace. That's the truth. So usually my answer to men like that is, when the women in your office who speak to you probably worse off than your wife speaks to you, do you bridle them by beating them up? Because you know your salary is at stake. You do not do that. You control yourself. So there's something called control. And when you begin to lose control, seek help. It doesn't say you're a weakling. It doesn't speak of you as somebody. It speaks to the fact that you love your family so much that you would rather go find, it's called anger management.
They believe it is important to see each incident to a logical conclusion and bring closure to the situation so there is no undesirable consequence.
Leave to seek redress. Don't just leave, because you see, when you leave a hurting man, you've also left him to his issues, which is what I also think that part of the ecosystem, we also need to begin to involve couple counseling, not just couple counseling, but you see, taking the abusers and begin to rework on their systems, because these abusers will stalk the women after a while. Some women get stalked forever. Some women, even after they've been separated, after they've moved separate ways, 3-4 years down the line, the men will find them out, beat them up on the streets, which is cases that I have seen. So these things, so if you do not change the mentality of the abusers, and we just go about this by punishment alone, we are still not there yet.
One model that seems to be helping is having representatives within the community who act as a link to legal bodies.
These paralegals within the communities, they're empowered to do outreach in their communities. They do awareness programs within their communities. So even those within the community, schools, churches, mosques, market people, they know them. So when they do this outreach, they do this outreach within the community, within the markets, in the community, in the schools and all that. So people get to know that, okay, there are people within this community where they can report to. We also liaise with traditional rulers like the ballets within the community. We also liaise with them. And also another thing that we also try to do with these paralegals is for the police stations within their communities, we also try to introduce them with the police station. And even for them, when there is a new DPO, when the former DPO goes and a new DPO comes in, they write to us in the office to say, in my community, for instance, in Igondo, the DPO has been transferred, there's a new DPO, so we do a letter for them, introducing them, they take it to the DPO of the community, they introduce themselves and the work they do. Thereby, the police even know the activity of the paralegals within your community. So they are known, and so it's easy for us to be able to get cases and track cases that come our way on a yearly basis. That's how we're able to track these cases. What that system has actually done really is, you don't have to go far away before you get help. What this method, this paralegal service has helped us do is, there is someone within your community who can listen to you.
All players in the fight against domestic violence agree that Nigeria does not have the capacity as yet to deal with the number of cases they believe exist in the country. But with more concentration on the problems and a holistic approach to solving them, the government, private institutions and individuals can make a bigger impact. It's a wrap on Big Story today. I am Mary Alale Yusuf.